everyone, welcome to Back Fashions YouTube channel. Today we're going to be learning how to make an off-shoulder Victorian corset. So we're going to draft on our pattern paper before we go ahead and transfer to fabric. So the measurements needed are, first I'm going to rule a straight line here. So here is my center front. Okay. I'll go ahead and also rule my starting line here also. So this will also serve as the shoulder line. So the bust, to determine my box, the bust divided by 2 will determine the size of the box, because I'll be drafting for both front and back. So half of the front and half of the back. So that's why I said the bust divided by 2. So the bust I'm working with is bust 37. So bust 37 divided by 2, that will give me 18.5. So plus 3 inches, 21.5. So I'll use my 21.5 and divide it by 2. So 21.5 divided by 2, that's going to be 10 and 3/4. So here is my 10 and 3/4. So this part will be for my front. So this is center front. Okay, and this side will be for the back. So first thing I will do is to mark the front length. So the front half length is 18 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark my 18 inches here, and then 18 inches here. So having done that, the next I'm going to do is to mark shoulder to nipple point. So shoulder to nipple point is 11 inches. So here is my 11 inches. And then shoulder to under bust is 14.5. So here's our 14.5. So I'm just going to straighten my line. So now we have, so this is our bust line, BL, UBL, under bust line, and then waist line. So having done that, I'll come here now and mark 3 inches here, and then mark half of the shoulder measurement. Half of the shoulder measurement is 8 inches. I'll come down by 1 inch to create my shoulder slant. So once I have that, I'll come down to mark the armhole measurement. And how do you get the armhole measurement? You divide the bust by 6 plus 1.5, and that will give us 7.6. So this is our 7.6 here. Then we'll also reconfirm the shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. This is to help us achieve a straight line. Okay. So take note that all my measurements are starting from this line, which is the center front line. So the next thing now to do is to mark the nipple to nipple measurement, and the nipple to nipple is 7 inches. So 7 divided by 2, that's 3.5. So here is our 3.5, and then 3.5 here. So I'm just going to rule a straight line. Okay. So now I'll come here and enter the bust measurement. The bust divided by 4 is 9 1/4. So here's my 9 1/4, and then the to do my dart intake, I'll be using the difference between the bust and the underbust, and the difference between the bust and the waist. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this same 9 1/4 that I have here. I'll bring it here also. So 9 1/4, 9 1/4. We have 9 1/4 all through, which is the bust measurement all through. So now I'll come here now on the bust line. The underbust measurement is 30 inches. So 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So here I have 9 1/4. So this is where our 7.5 is here. So I'm going to check, what do I have left here? I have 1 3/4 left. So I'm going to be using that 1 3/4 to tighten the underbust. So I'm going to place ½ inch on this side, and then ½ inch on this side. Remember I said 1 3/4, so ½ inch on this side, then 1 1/4 inch on this side. So the waist measurement is 32 inches. So 32 divided by 4, that's 8 inches. Can you see? So that's 8 inches. So when I mark 8 inches here, what I have left here is 1 1/4 inch. So that 1 1/4 inch is what I'll be using to tighten the waist. So here on this side, I'll still place ½ inch. So on this side now, I'm going to be placing 3/4 inch. So 3/4 inch. So here is my 3/4 inch. So I'm going to use my ruler to connect it this way, from here to here. Can you see that? And then I'll connect this one here. Okay, you see? So now the next thing I want to do is to curve it to the bust point here. I'll come down by ½ inch from the bust point and mark it. So I'll place my curve like this. I want to curve it to this point here. So I'm going to place my curve this way and then connect it like this. Can you see that? And then I'll come here also and connect this side. Can you see? So now we have done our dart intake at this point. Now, to get the overbust, you will need to take note of the measurement. That's distance you have from here to here. What do we have here? I have 3.5. So I'll add ½ inch to it to get the overbust. So you can actually use exactly the 3.5, but this is when you want to expose cleavage. But if you want it to cover more, you add ½ inch to that measurement. So that will bring us to 4 inches. So here we have 4 inches. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and mark my neckline. Yes, it's an off shoulder we are doing, but we need all these markings to be able to have the correct hair. So I'm marking my neckline of 3 by 3. So now, having marked my neckline of 3 by 3, I'm going to get the midpoint of what I have left here. From the shoulder tip, from the neck tip to the shoulder tip here, what I have here is 5 inches. So the midpoint here is 2.5. So I'm going to use my pattern master, my ruler, to connect it to this point. So you can see to the bust point now. So here we are. Okay, you see that? So now I want to tighten the overbust because you want this to sit well on the overbust here. So now I'll come to this side. You can see that I have more space at this side by doing this. So you can actually shift this dart leg now that you have this shoulder dart. you can actually shift it by half of an inch and it will bring you to this side if you want to do that. But if you don't want to do that, you tighten more around this area. So you need to put into consideration, what do you have here? So what I have here is 3.5. You don't want the difference between what you have here on the bust pan, that's your nipple to nipple, to be so much. It shouldn't be more than that. You can actually maintain the same 3.5 or maybe 3 3/4 or even less, depending on how tight fitting you want the upper part to be. So now in this case, what I have here, I have 4 1/4 inch. So on this side, I'm going to be taking away 3/4 of an inch. So here is my 3/4 of an inch. And so when I place my tape here, can you see that I have, this is about 3/4 and then 1/8 of an inch. It's not up to 3.5. Okay. So I'll place it there. And then on this side, I'm going to mark half of an inch on this side. So on the center part, I'm taking 3/4. Here, I'm taking half of an inch. So you want to use the part of your ruler that is just slightly curved, and then I'll connect it. So you can see this like ½ inch above the bust point. You don't want to connect it sharp to the bust point. So I'm going to also do the same thing here now. So now I've tightened the over bust. Okay, so as it is, we have not done our armhole. I'll come here now to the armhole, get the midpoint of the armhole by folding my tape into two like this. So here is the midpoint of my armhole. So here at the midpoint of the armhole, I'll go in by 3/4 of an inch, and then I'll bring it back to the shoulder tip like this. So I'll also mark quarter of the bust measurement, which is 9 1/4 here, and then I'll curve the armhole this way. Okay, so now we have done that. So now after drawing our armhole, now we want to create our off the shoulder. So from this shoulder tip here, I'm going to come down by 2.5 inches, or you can do 2 1/4 inch depending on how high you want that side to be. So I'm going to do, okay, let me do 2 1/4. So here is my 2 1/4 inch, and then here at the neckline I'm going to be doing 8 inches. So here is my 8 inches. So I want to create a sweetheart shape, but this will go all the way from this point to this point. So now I'll bring my curved ruler like this. At this point first, on the side piece here, I'm just going to take it this way first. Can you see that? And then from this side here, want to just extend it a little by like 1 inch outward from here. Then before I go ahead and curve it this way. Can you see? Can you see the shape that I have? So now, having done this, so this means that my dart legs will have to be extended. So all I need to do now is to use my ruler and then extend the dart leg. You don't want to do too much. So I'm just going to slant it this way and then also bring it this way. You see? So my dart is extending all the way to this side. So now, the next thing you want to do now is to bring in the off shoulder measurement of this person. So the round shoulder measurement, that's what you want to now put into consideration. The round shoulder of my client is 42 inches. So to get the strap to strap, which is going to be, that's the front, your front measurement. That's how the front measurement, which is called the strap to strap. To get the strap to strap, the shoulder measurement of my client, her shoulder is 16 inches. 16 divided by 2, that's 8. So 8 minus 2 will give me 6 inches. So I need whatever measurement I need to have here, I must have 6 inches. That's what I need to have here. So now I'm going to check and see what we have. So you can see that this is our dart. We're going to be cutting out this part. So I'll place my tape from the center front here to this point. You can see that I have my 3.5. So here is 3.5. So I'll come here now and place my tape on 3.5 here. So here is 3.5. So can you see that this is where my 6 inches ends? So that means I have the off shoulder measurement of my client. That's 6 plus 6. That's 12 inches. So for the front is going to be 12. For the back, we're going to have 13 inches because the back is half inch wider. So that's 13 inches. So 12 plus 13, that will give me 25 inches. So this 42 that I have here, I'm going to say 42 minus 25. That will give me, this will give me 7 and then 1 here. So that's 17 inches. So 17 inches, I'll be dividing 17 inches I'll divide it by 2 because we have 2 hands. So this 17 divided by 2, that will give me 8.5. So the one side of the sleeve will be 8.5 and then the other side will be 8.5. I hope we understand. So now let's go ahead and measure what we also have here. So can you see from here to here I have 5 inches. So I'll place my tape on 5 inches and then you can see that I have 7 inches. So that's about 1 inch difference from what we have here. But we're going to be working with that because this is on a curved line. So that is why I made sure that the measurement I have here is that 6 inches. This is where your 6 inches should be coming out from. Okay, so that's that. So now we'll go ahead and mark our bust dart. So the bust dart is the difference between the front and the back. So my client's back measurement is 16 inches. Remember that I said the front is 18 inches. So the back length is 16 inches. That's the back half length. So that is giving us a difference of 2 inches, which is for her bust dart. So I'll come here to the bust line and then I'll come down by 2 inches to mark my dart. So here we have our dart. Can you see that? So we have our dart. So I'm going to come out here. I'm just going to create this curve here. Can you see? Just to show that there's a dart here because by the time we close this dart, we're going to have a shortage. So can you see? So that's that for our front piece. So I'm going to be cutting out this, cut out this dart. So all these places are the parts that I will cut out here too. I'm going to cut them out. Of course, I'm going to close my dart here too. So now we're going to go ahead and wrap our back. So I've drawn my back. So here I have my back half length, which is 16, like I said. That's it. And then I've also done the shoulder slant and then the same thing, the same armhole measurement, which is 7.6. I've marked it here also. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the neckline, even though we don't need it, but it's just for a guide. So here is our neckline. So on this armhole line, which is also the chest line, I'm going to enter quarter of the bust measurement. So here is quarter of the bust measurement. And then on the waistline, I'm going to enter the waist measurement, which is 8 inches, quarter of the waist measurement. And then I'll mark 1 inch for my dart. Okay. So we'll go ahead and connect it this way. So I'm just going to straighten out the chest line here like this. So having done that, now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the midpoint of the armhole, which is just fold my tape into two like this. And then I'll come in by half of an inch. then I'll curve it back like this. So now we have our armhole. So I'm going to mark the nipple to nipple of my client. So her nipple to nipple is 3.5 inches. So here's our 3.5 inches. We'll also bring the same 3.5 inches to this point, and then we'll go ahead and straighten out our line like this. And then I'll mark half inch on both sides. Remember that I added 1 inch for my dart, so I'll be marking half inch on this side and then half inch on this side too. And then I'll go ahead and connect it to the chest line. I'll do the same thing here too, connect to the chest line. So now we have our dart. So you need to tighten your back. So here now, I'll take out half of an inch. If you don't do this, your back will bulge. So we're trying to remove our back bulge, okay? So I came here to the waistline and I'm taking out half inch. I'm just going to slant it all the way to the neckline here. So I haven't done this now. I've taken out my zipper bulge. So in a situation where you want to have zip, that's if your corset is going to be a corset with zipper, you will now add your zip allowance from here. So in a case where you want to add your zip allowance, you add your 1 inch or 1.5, whatever it is you want to use. So now this is your new center back line. That's this slanted line. So this is the center back now. But here now we're going to be using loops for this corset, so I don't need that zip allowance. So what I'll be doing now, on the waistline I'll be subtracting 1.25 inch, and then I'll come here to the chest line. I'll be taking 1.5. I'm just going to connect it this way. So I'm going to just indicate cut. I'll be cutting out this part. So on your skirt pattern, because remember that this is a half scale, on your skirt pattern, you must take note of this. You must keep this so that on your skirt pattern, your upper bodice will start from here, leaving out this 1.25 inch. That will be that space that you have on your back so that you can tie your lace, your loops or your eyelets, depending on which one you're using. So remember that I have 1.25 here and I have 1.5 here. So on the skirt, when I'm fixing these upper bodies, I must make sure that I leave that space. My skirt has a zip allowance, of course, because the skirt will have a zip allowance, or have a zip, sorry. So after my zip allowance, on my skirt, I added a zip allowance of 1.5. So after my zip allowance, I will still go in by 1.25 inch. So at the end of the day, on the skirt, what I'm supposed to leave out is 2.75. So it is very important so that you know where this is starting from. Okay, so without wasting time, remember that the off shoulder we're making, in front we came down by 2.25. So here's our 2.25. So from this point, I'm just going to curve it to wherever you want it to be. So I don't want the back to be too deep. So at this 2.25 here, I'm going to come here to this point and then I'll connect it to the back. I want the back to be 6 inches deep. So here, just going to place my curve like this. Can you see that? So I'm going to connect it. So, but remember that I'm making an off shoulder. So the measurement I have here, of course, it is wider than the normal off shoulder. So I don't want it to be this wide. Remember that we worked with our round shoulder measurement, which is 42 inches. And I said that the back is 13 inches while the front is 12 inches. So I'll come here to this point and mark my 13 inches. So 13 inches, half of 13 inches, that's not 6.5. So here is my 6.5. So all I need to do now is to curve my armhole this way. So you will notice that I'm taking my armhole a little higher. Can you see that? So you don't want the armhole to be deep. You just want to take it like a slight curve. Take note of what I'm doing. Can you see the space here? So this is now the back armhole. Did you say that? This is now the back armhole. It's slightly curved because it is an off shoulder we are making. So this is how our back is going to be. Okay, so for the front now, I thought to do this first before we come here and explain this. So for the front, remember that when we took our measurement here, we got 7 inches. So now this is what I'll be doing. That 7 inches, I'll go in by 1 inch here and then also slant it here to give us that shape. So I'll also go up here. That's the same way I went up here. You can see that the armhole is not as deep and curvy as it used to be when you make a that's a normal bust here. So I'll just come here too and mark that 1 inch here at this point. And then also I'm going to slant it this way. Can you see the curve I have? And you can see the armhole is going upwards. So I'm just going to slant it here like this. Can you see? So that is why it is good to use pencil to draft your pattern so that you can always alter where you need to do your alterations. So now this is now our back. So of course this dart leg, I'm going to have to take this dart leg upwards because I want to have one boning line here. So for me to have that boning line here, it means I need to cut through on this part. So I'm going to take my dart leg up. So all I need to do now is to come here and then take my line upwards like this. That's the nipple to nipple line. So I'm going to open up this dart by 1/4 inch on both sides. Can you see? So you will notice that the dart is no longer, it didn't finish, it didn't zerorize like the regular way that our darts usually zerorize. So you can see the shape I have here. So what you need to do now, you come here and measure. Can you see? I have my 6.5 here. So that 1/4 inch I came out here, I'll just return it back here and then slant it also. You see that? So now this is my new armhole. This is what the back looks like, and this is what my front will look like. So I'm going to be cutting through this opened, and I earlier said that I'm going to keep this. So this line also will extend upwards this way. You see? So I'll cut this and keep it intact. So now it's time for us to cut out our pattern. Alright. So here I'm going to cut this way. So now I'll come back and I'll show us how to through this part. Can you see that by the time I cut out my dart, can you see that this side is longer than this side? So we'll come back and through this part. Through it means to make them equal because we're going to be joining them together. So they need to be equal. So here I'll follow the neckline like this. Okay, so this is the armhole here, as this is my new armhole line. Okay, so I haven't done this, so now I want to through the front, that's this part here. So all I need to do now is to place another paper under my dart. Can you see where this dart leg ends here? So of course this is supposed to end that way too because they'll be joined together. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'll place my curve this way. Can you see? You want to make sure to place it correctly. And then I'm going to mark. So can you see? So this is my new curve. So here now, so I'm just going to cut out this shape now. So here we are. You can see. So by the time I cut out this dart, and cut out this dart. You see, I'll take out this like this. So now to bring this together, and you see they are matching up here. You want them to match up. So if this part is too high for me, because remember that I'm going to be fixing my sleeve into the neck there. So all I need to do is to just stick down this curve a little like this, so that I can have the shape I want to have. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and cut out this shape here too. So this way. So I have my two pieces together. You see? So now we're going to add, when you're cutting on your fabric, or add your ½ inch here for joining. You also add the ½ inch here too for joining. You can cut this on fold, or you can cut into, that's cut two pieces. So if you're cutting two pieces, you must add ½ inch also on the center front for joining them back. So now go ahead and close the bust dart. You can see. So to close the bust dart, can you see? So I'll go ahead and close it up. So now that I've closed the bust dart, can you see that it has shifted? So you see this is coming outward compared to the bust. So I'm just going to blend it up. I'm just going to blend up this line like this. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out. So we have our two front pieces. So if you notice that this side is too pointy, all you need to do is to come in by like ½ inch and trim out the pointiness. But mine is not so pointy, so I'm okay with what I have here. Okay, so now for the back, I'll go ahead and cut out back. Can you see? So by closing the dots, placing them together, can you see that they are all equal? So now the next thing I'll do is to cut open this dart leg. Remember that this is the back. This is going to replace, the loops will replace this part. So now I'll cut out this part, so you can see that center front is quite small, but whatever it is you're doing, when you cut out, this is 1.25, 1.5, whatever it is you're doing, make sure you keep this, because it will come in handy when you are doing your skirts or joining your skirts to it. So I've cut out our patterns. You can see this is the one that the loops will replace. This is our center back. This is the side backs, side front and center front. So now this depends on the number of panels you want to have, because the more panels you have, the more structure you will have. In each of the panel, you're going to be sewing your, fixing your boning. So the more cuts you have, that's more panels you have, of course you're going to have more boning lines to create more structure. So here on the side here, I'm just going to come here and divide it into two. Can you see? So on the waistline here I have 4.5. So when you divide 4.5 into 2, I will have 2¼ So I'm just going to use my curve this way and draw a line here. Can you see? It's going to the armhole like this. Can you see that? So this part, my masking tape is there, so it will not show. So my sellotape. So here too, what do I have here? I have about 5 inches. I'll get the midpoint, which is 2¾ and then I'll also draw one line here. So can you see? So now I'll cut through this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it out like this. Okay, so can you see that I have 6 pieces? So all this, I'm going to have two of each of them. Apart from this front, I'm going to be cutting it on fold. I'm not going to sew together. I'm not going to have seam allowance here. So you label it. This is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so then here I'm going to come to this side. Now this is back 1. Like, let me just label it CBM B1, B2, B3. Okay, so here this is F1, F3, sorry, F2, and F1. So now this is what we have. So I'm going to cut on my fabric, add my sewing allowance, half inch on this side, half inch here, half inch here, half inch here. So this part, half inch round like this, I'll be cutting on fold. Here I'll be adding half inch, 2 inches on the side here for my side seam allowance. Here on the back, 2 inches seam allowance, half inch here, half inch here, half inch here. So I'm going to add half inch here around and half inch. I hope you have learned a thing or two from this video. Please kindly like this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. In our next video, we're going to be showing us how to join our pieces together. Thank you for watching. See you in my next one.